not the strongest bot lane to play around. We know that G2 have invested pretty heavily in towards the bot side of the map, but OG, they have a pretty good scaling side with the Kai'Sa offering great backline dive. The question is, what are they going to pair this dive up with? Nautilus is a pretty strong threat, being able to set up the backline because of that long-range ultimate that he does have, but Origen now need to think about how they actually get onto and can threaten that backline with something like a LeBlanc, which, funnily enough, has now been banned away. So both mid laners going to have to dive a little bit deeper into their mid lane champion pools.
I'm wondering about something like a Sylas. Stealing away the Taric ult can be really effective when it comes to late game. Stealing away an Ornn ult as well can do the same, and you have a lot of sustain and the ability to dive onto a backline. We saw it banned out in the last game. We'll see if G2 or Origen decide to pick it up this one. Right now, I expect a jungle pick from G2, once again leaving that mid lane pick for Perkz for last.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Jungle would probably be the safest right now. Pantheon is, of course, still up and available, which OG are not too worried about. They're actually going to go for the Olaf as an answer to the set. His power clearing could be used pretty effectively in terms of setting up invades and trying to threaten the enemy jungle, but in order to do that, he's going to need strong mid lane priority. And obviously, he does know that he's going up against a Cassio, but a lot of the strong answers to Cassio have actually been taken off the board. The Orianna is one specifically that Perkz used to be very well known for that's going to be denied away from him, so good respect coming out from the side of Origen as they ran their comp out with a blind, well, I say blind, it's into the Ornn, so they're actually going to round things out with the Aatrox. They could, of course, sent the set into the top lane and looked for a different jungle matchup, but they're not going to do that as we actually get a Perkz Akali. Wow, okay, I mean,
yeah.
This surprises me because I think that Akali, her laning phase has been made a lot weaker, especially after the nerfs that she's received over the last few patches, and she, especially in the early game anyway, doesn't have a strong laning phase, especially against into a Cassio, so it's going to be difficult to gain prio in that mid matchup, especially when you're playing with an Ornn. And when you kind of look at the comp that G2 have gotten, I suppose one of the powerful things about Akali is that she has strong backline dive threat, but the great thing about Kai'Sa is in the event that Akali dives on you, you could then just dive to the other side of the fight and then just completely avoid her entirely depending on where that CC ends up being set up. So I think that OG actually have a lot of answers and ways of playing around this Akali, especially with the Miasma in and of itself acting as a huge blocker to her ability to dash around. So we'll see how Perkz actually makes this Akali work, because I think that in terms of OG's comp, they have really strong scaling, they have pretty solid backline threat. We know that Alphari is very good at finding these flanks on the Aatrox especially, and I think that they have a pretty solid frontline in the form of Set and Nautilus as well. So I think OG's comp overall pretty well rounded.
Right, game 4 coming up just after this. Origen have to fight and win this to stay in the series. So I was looking to see if NukeDuck had played Cassio so far this split. He's only played it in playoffs. One hit the first game, second game they played versus Rogue on it, and is unkilled, Vedius. 3-0-0 on that Cassiopeia. Perkz has played 3 Akali games during the regular season and went 3-0 across those games as well. So 100% win rate mid laners facing up against each other.
So someone's record will be tarnished in this game.
We will see which one of them it is, because as you said, Perkz will be looking to dive onto the Kai'Sa in the back line, but there's a lot of safety for upset. You have the CC available from the Nautilus, you've got your own cleanse and your dive away as well if you need to get away from that Akali. And I wonder how G2 will be able to get towards this team fighting stage, because we saw Origen actually very proactive in the early game last game.
Yeah, and I think that we kind of need to focus in on the early game, because obviously the fighting will be happening a lot later, and one of the big things is who has push, where the jungle is focusing, and like what direction will they be taking. We can see that both junglers seem to be starting on the bot side of the map. The Olaf will be doing a solo clear, because Olaf can do these things, especially given how fast his clear is, and his clear gets a little bit faster the lower HP he is as well. Meanwhile, Xerxes going to be looking to do a potential full clear on the bot side, maybe a full clear of his own, knowing that Jankos will be looking to do the same thing. Of course, because Xerxes did in fact get that pull, the duo of Upset and Destiny is going to be a little bit late to lane, and I think that that's sort of what you expect. MF in the early laning phase is very strong, and the Taric with the E can also be dangerous in the event that Destiny does land the hook. So I think that Upset is going to want to show that respect and play a little bit more defensively in the early laning phase. And we'll see how things progress, as we can actually see the Ornn seems to have push in the top lane, as Ornn seems to do very Ornn things.
Yeah, it just has all of the damage, has all of the tankiness, has all of the CC that you would want from any champion, never mind all combined into one. Will be interesting to see the junglers in this game because it's the first game, really, the series we haven't seen them play down towards that bottom lane early on. Both of the last 3 games, it's all been focused in getting your bot lane ahead or stopping the enemy jungler getting down towards there. So now with both of them doing full bot side clears and going up towards the top side, Jankos will be slightly quicker because Olaf does Olaf things, but both of them should be able to get their full top side clear and then look for that recall.
So you can see that Olaf is a little bit faster, a little bit ahead of the play. He's already doing his red buff now as Xerxes just clearing the walls. This means that he can look to play for that topside scuttle crab. The thing he has to be most cautious of is the fact that, of course, Cassio is pushing in that mid lane quite hard. And Nukeduck is doing this intentionally. He was holding the wave in a relatively neutral spot before, but now he's got that wave stacked underneath the tower, and he's going to use this as an opportunity to offer coverage for Xerxes in the event that the jungler is there. And you can already see Jankos making the choice to reset rather than try and contest, because without that mid lane priority, you're kind of just wasting your time if you try and fight for this, along with risking your life, as you can also see Alphari being able to push up the top side. So good utilization of priority and good understanding of where you can and can't go on the map from both sides.
Chile recall from Upset means that Destiny will take a disadvantageous trade in the bottom lane, but with the wave pushing in, and with him popping a couple of potions, he should be fine here, as Upset has gone back and got himself that second Doran's. Jankos came down towards the bottom side to make sure he gets at least one Scuttle Crab, because as you said, Xerxes had the control on that top side. I do want to bring attention to the fact Nukeduck's gone for the phase rush on the Cassio. Sometimes we see Conqueror taken. Instead here, going for that extra movement speed, the chase potential when it comes down to fights.
I actually prefer it. I think the phase rush is so much more valuable on Cassio because while I understand that Conqueror is pretty easy to stack on the Cassio and also just synergizes well with her kit, the amount of bonus movement speed and kiting power that you get from Phase Rush, I think is extremely valuable on a champion like Cassio.
Gank.
Did you see a gank?
Oh, he catches him with the flash! Caps trying to flash away, but Xerxes on the chase, and now the teleport's coming. Exhaust already used on Upset. Xerxes going to try and run away as well as Perks joins the fray. Face breaker back. Perks is very low. Jankos going to join this fight as well, but Perks able to get out. Nukeduck used his TP as well. And in the end, it is heal and flash burn on Caps and the TPs from the mid laners.
Love the gank that we're seeing from Origen here. Good utilization of the Predator boots to just literally run down bot lane.
Just
followed up by
down,
a
man.
very good hook coming out from Destiny to lock down Caps and force out his summoner spells. That's 3 summoners now gone for the bot side of the map, setting OG up nicely for a return gank a little bit later on. We said that we wouldn't expect a huge amount of investment on the bot side of the map, but of course with the Nautilus you do have good gank setup. Normally it can be quite challenging to gank that Taric, but that usually comes around the level 6 mark once he has his ultimate. Prior to that, it's easy pickings with the setup that you do have. So Origen looking to invest. They still have the teleport available on Alphari, whereas Wonder has already used it. And if we look at the wave state, Alphari might not even be forced to use it right now. And they could actually look to contest this Drake as Alphari is looking to reset.
Alphari goes back, gets himself a Caulfield's Warhammer. Xerxes was spotted on a ward, and the TP will be used up towards the top lane. There were a slew of G2 wards in the red side jungle of Origen when Xerxes went for that gank, and he actually avoided them all by just running down the lane. Like, there was one on his Krugs, there was one on his red buff, there was one on his Razorbeak, so I assumed the G2 bot lane felt relatively safe, because it's like, well, we know he's not doing his Krug, so he can't be bot side. But that was a very well-executed gank from Origen to get those summoners out. We'll see what they can do with it, because Caps has gone for a traditional MF build here, the triple Dorans. Very healthy, does a lot of damage in the lane, and can be quite difficult to deal with. Xerxes now down towards the bottom lane, looking to see if they can use the fact that Caps doesn't have that flash.
Yeah, we are seeing that return gank, but they're not going to overcommit. They don't want to take the gamble, even though they do have that control on the red buff. They don't want to run the risk. They're actually rotating up through the river, seeing if they can alleviate some of the pressure mid. Perks just hit level 6, and he's going for it.
Nukeduck does have flash to get away, still has the Petrifying Gaze as well. There he lands on Perks. Perks is under the tower. Perks is dead. He's gone. Nukeduck wins the 1v1. Perks just very greedy with his positioning.
Yeah, just really well played from Nukeduck. We're going to get an instant replay of that one as Perkz, he's going to throw out his ultimate. He's setting up for his bot lane to come, right? They want to try and throw on the W from the Taric to then follow up with the stun, but a really good ultimate from Nukeduck means that Perkz doesn't have time to react. He must have known that it was coming, but an auto, I think, followed by... I can't tell if it was an auto or the E in the last hit there, but the tower shot was enough with the combination of the two to help secure that kill. So Origen, with a really good gank in the bot lane and a solo kill in the mid lane, off to a great start here in Game 4.
And there's been a lot of discussion on Twitter, on Reddit about Nukeduck and like where he stands as a mid laner in Europe. I know that whenever we talk to mid laners, whenever we talk to players, they always rate Nukeduck very highly, and it's moments like that that really show why he does stand out, because when you are getting ganked, when people are fighting against you like that, you're not expected to be able to turn it around like that. So great play from Nukeduck. He now has a 10 CS lead, has the tier, has the Lost Chapter building up. He is in a very powerful position on this Cassio.
I mean, I think a lot of the criticism that often goes towards Nukeduck is that even when he's in positions of power, he often doesn't always do a lot with it. And I think that his LeBlanc game last game was a strong presence of what he can do, and now he's set up for success. The question will be, what can he do on this Cassio? You can use her in a side lane, you can use her in team fights, and a lot of eyes will be on him as we see Wunder and Alphari going at it.
Alphari went in thinking it was a 1v1, but in the end it was a 3v1 as Wunder picks up the kill. Caps and Mickey rotating very quickly up towards the top side here. It does mean, once again, that Upset will be given some free time with that tower in the bottom lane. Will be able to get at least one plate for himself. I'm not sure how big the wave is down there, but G2 are going to start up that Rift Herald. I wonder if Origen will fight around it. Alphari doesn't have TP, so it would be very brave for them to go for, but they're stepping into the river right now. As the Rift Herald goes lower and lower, Smite will secure it, Jankos gets it, and Xerxes will back away.
I don't think either team wants to hard commit to a fight. Origen recognized that they were at a number disadvantage there, and given that Nukeduck's ult just came back up, that means that Perkz' ult probably also just came back up, which means that, okay, let's just play defensively for now. G2 managed to catch us off guard. They did an early rotation, and they're able to find a good kill onto Alphari, which means that we're just going to have to concede this one. But now Origen can make a play of their own towards the Drake. They're sending 4 members bot. Xerxes has ult.
Upset dives in with the killer instinct, and here it comes, waiting for the Bellows Breath to be over. The Haymaker comes out, and Origen get a kill in the bottom lane.
So again, good punish from Origen now on the other side of the map, and I think this was the correct response. They saw that G2 were looking to reset because they just secured the Rift Herald, which meant that Wunder was basically overextended in the bot lane because he had no support from the rest of his team. Origen are able to take advantage of that, but they're not quite able to convert it into the Mountain Drake, which means that Jankos will be in a position to contest, and Wunder will be back alive, but of course he won't have his teleport.
Has just finished the Bramble Vest, so we'll be able to mitigate some of the healing that comes out from Alphari. Caps by himself here, walking up through the river. Alphari is just seeing, perhaps if Caps wanted to step up a little bit too far. But it's actually Caps who's sitting on the Rift Herald as well, so G2 will have to play around him if they want to get those plates down. Have a few minutes to do it, as the Rift Herald is only a third of the way through its timer. And let's just have a look at where we are in terms of CS as well. Slight lead for Alphari in the top lane, mid lane, still that 10 lead for Nukeduck, who is consistently just farming up a storm by himself. And bot lane's pretty even as well. You can see the pickaxe being picked up by Upset, probably building up towards Manamune, and then trying to get that Acathian Rain, that Q evolution as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that itemization slowly but surely coming through. I think one of the biggest things is that Nukeduck will be able to complete his first item as quickly as possible, and that's going to be massive. The fact that you get that tier stacking very early on, it's already pretty easy to stack on the Cassio, and the moment you upgrade it to the Seraphs, then you stack it even quicker, and that shield makes her a very prominent duelist, and why she can be very effective on a side lane as well. So definitely in a great position for Nukeduck. Of course, they did concede the Mountain Drake. I wonder if OG rather were just a little too afraid to try and contest against an Olaf this early on into the game, and instead are just going to back that one off, as G2 are actually now hard committing into this bot tier 1 tower.
Yeah, they pinged Upset in the top lane. They knew that he was up there, and Caps, with his strut, can actually move very quickly between the lanes. Now Caps is going to be the one on the front foot here as Wunder steps up and wards the bush. They're trying to escort the Rift Herald in, but really only needs a Riptide to come out from Destiny to stop it. Perkz flashing forward, looking for Upset. Upset still has the flash and the cleanse here. Gonna use that killer instinct, trying to get away. Perkz still on the chase. Upset underneath the turret will die, even using his flash. Jankos now going to chase onto Nukeduck. The Ragnarok coming out. Nukeduck has the flash, but the chase is in, and Jankos gets a solo kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, Nuketug wanted to hold on to his ultimate for so long, but he realized that Olaf's ulti would just remove it. So Nuketug holding. Then the moment the flash came over, he predicts that he uses his ultimate, but the Olaf ultimate is still there, which means he just shrugs it off. He gets the chase down, and Nuketug ends up losing his life, which means that G2 very quickly find themselves with 2 solo kills off the back of that as well, and OG suddenly find themselves at a slight goal deficit.
And yeah, Perks goes from being slightly behind in the lane to now having a kill, getting some extra plates, and probably being about even on gold. He's going to go back and get himself the revolver now, I believe, with, yep, he just completes it. Seraph's is finished on Nuketug, though, so as you said, that tier stacking up going to be very powerful as the game progresses, but I do want to see how Nuketug uses that early advantage he had, because we haven't actually seen it really pay off yet.
I think that OG's comp still scales quite well, so the gold is still very even, so even though those kills have happened, it's definitely not over, it's not all doom and gloom. I just think that in that situation, the lane assignments weren't optimal, because you basically sent Upset into a lane by himself, while G2 were committing 2 members plus a Rift Herald to the bot tower. So while OG would have wanted to trade there, they actually couldn't, and it actually just forced Upset to overextend. So I think the overall decision making there was a little bit off, and G2 were very quick to be able to punish that. Now Nuketug is in a position where the rest of OG are collapsing, and again you'll see this trend where OG are trying to react and stop the threat onto this tier 1 tower, rather than trying to trade it on the bot side of the map, and instead they're just going to sit here and watch as Perks just gets all these plates for free.
Gets the plates, the cannon goes down as well, so Nuketug is denied CS, and it's a lack of vision for Origin. You can see all of the G2 wards as well.
I just think it's the wrong play, Medic.
Okay.
I just think that rather than watching, they should expect G2 to be playing towards that tower or mid lane, which means that they should be in a position to either answer mid lane or trade it on the bot side of the map. But they're not doing any of that. They're just watching the enemy take free gold and not really getting much off the back of it. And like, it's something that we've seen pretty consistently throughout this series, where Origen are always kind of second to the play. They're always like following, and rather than being proactive, and that's why I think game 3 was so impressive, because they were in control, and now they're trying to take control as we see a fight in top lane.
They knew Destiny was there all along. There was a ward in the second bush, and he walked straight over it. Nuketug the target. Here's the petrifying gaze comes out. Perks almost fallen. The cosmic radiance is a little bit too late. Nuketug in the back of the alcove will get taken out by G2. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, as Perks is actually a double. I didn't see where Destiny fell, but he went down. Oh, he did go down right in the middle of it, so that was a good trade from G2, knowing that Destiny was waiting. Upset wasn't there. He was farming up the mid lane. And although Perks goes down, that's 2 kills over to Caps.
Yeah, I think that G2 responded pretty well there to what Origen were trying to set up. You could see that they wanted to be more proactive in the setup. They had Destiny in what they thought was a really good flank, but then the immediate teleports coming out from G2 to shut that down meant that Origen ends up falling behind in the fight. Now, G2 used this opportunity to gain control over the topside river, and we'll start off the Herald. Alfari can look to contest, but without his ultimate, I think it would be hard to try and force a fight right now. Jankos feels very strong with the upgraded warrior, and Destiny, yeah, he should be fine here. He doesn't have his flash, but he's still very close to his tower. G2 going to commit it? Okay, no, they're just going to reset. They want to try and catch that bot wave. No teleporter available. But let's have a look at how this play all sets up. Xerxes and Destiny are looking to get a collapse onto Perks, but I don't think Origen were expecting G2 to be the team to actually engage. They wanted to try and catch Perks out of position, but G2 were primed and ready to fight. They were the ones ready to set this one up. They had the TP available. They had everyone else following from behind, and while Perks does drop, it ends up being 2 kills in favor of G2. They weren't quite able to secure that top tier 1 though, and ultimately just resulted in some vision. So OG not too far behind off the back of that fight, still relying on their scaling later on into the game, and they'll actually be able to secure their first Drake of the game off the back of it as well.
Yeah, they get the Cloud Drake, they will give up the Rift Herald for it, and now Fari has to back all the way away in that top lane. Nuketug's going to try and get himself a turret in the bottom lane, but maybe a little bit too slow on this one. As the,
I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. He
yeah,
has a wave coming up now, yeah.
I was trying to compare him with Perks, and I think Perks is actually backed away for his wave as well. So that towers will be about even in terms of when they are taken in the top and the bottom lane. G2 still 1 turret ahead, and about, say, 500 gold or so in the lead as that second tower falls.
The thing Origen now need to be concerned about is that with the Rift Herald that G2 just picked up for themselves, they can use that to start threatening mid lane. They'll send Perks off to a side lane to try and clear out one of these waves, and then they can use him to collapse and then start dropping this Herald and actually chunking down this tower. Because of course, when you do have that melee mid lane assassin, your siege becomes a lot weaker. You're very reliant on caps to be able to hit those towers, and I think that's a great opportunity for OG because they do know that he does have this tendency to overstep. He will try and secure that last hit if he can, and then OG can look to try and punish in that brief window. So their expectation should be that the next big play for G2 will be on this mid-tier 1.
I think that has to be, as you say, I was going to say expectation as well. Like, I can't think of another word, Vedius. It has to be the expectation. As we look at this series as a whole so far, this has kind of been the story of it. You know, relatively chaotic early games with quite a lot of kills, and the reason the series itself is so important is the fact that the loser of this is out. Perks actually diving onto upset. Here's the depth charge is going to come out. Destiny's tanking up the tower. And Perks able to get away for the moment. Destiny will go down. Actually uses the stopwatch very well. Xerxes tanking up the tower as well. And you can see Origen making plays because they're not willing to give up this series without the Ghost. The winner plays up against Mad Lions next week in our Saturday match. And then the winner of that series plays Fnatic in the final, of course. G2 able to crack 2 turrets in the mid lane with that Rift Herald charge. But Perks still dying off in a side lane. 1 and 3 this game, Vedius. He makes up 60% of his team's deaths.
Yeah, and I think that Origen, I think the idea was good to go towards the top tower, but it also circles back to what we were talking about, which is that G2's next play was to look at that mid-tier 1. So while OG were investing resources into top side, the death from Perks ultimately doesn't matter a huge amount because G2 end up getting much more off the back of it. 2 tier 2 towers. Yes, they don't secure any kills, but they also just open up the map a lot more. Now, Perks does have his Gunblade completed, so he's going to be at one of the strongest points that he is during the game. It's like a very big item spike for him, along with hitting level 11. But Nukeduck has the Leandries finished as well, and that's one of the most crucial items for the Cassio to have completed. With the Seraphs fully stacked now, this Nukeduck is incredibly strong. You can send him off to a side lane, you can put him in the mid lane, whatever it is that you want to do, you have a lot of options, and he's going to be very difficult for G2 to deal with. And this is kind of the most interesting thing for me, is that how do they actually stop him? How do they actually shut him down? Because if you try to play front to back against a Cassio, you're always going to lose. And if you try to run at him, yes, okay, the Olaf is probably the biggest thing that you're looking at, just because his ultimate can obviously ignore everything, but then he also has to be strong enough to duel the Cassio, who, with these 2 completed items, is obviously going to be a difficult thing to do, but you can see that he has itemized the Hex Drinker as a flash comes through.
Flash hook onto Caps. Caps going to flash away, and here comes the call of the Forge God. Destiny perhaps overstepped. Perks diving through this onto the backline. He's going to get one, but Xerxes waiting for him. Has to flash across the wall to get away. Xerxes still looking for the chase here. Mickey's now going to join up with the rest of G2, and Origen will just have to retreat. You can see what was on Destiny's mind. There was a play there waiting to be made, but both Caps and Perks invest their flashes to get away. Now Wonder stepping forward. Nukeduck already chipping away at that Ornn. As you said, very difficult to deal with the Cassio if you're just approaching her head on. Teleport in here behind as Perks looks for the fight. Ragnarok coming out. There's a Cosmic Radiance as well. Nukeduck trying to turn this one around, but he's been caught out by G2. And you can deal with him by killing him. G2 find the pick onto Nukeduck.
Well, they definitely killed him. That was a good use of the teleport from Perks to set up the flank, and the Taric ultimate coming through is probably the biggest thing that I haven't been talking about, which is that if that's able to come down onto Jankos, along with Perks diving onto the backline, it doesn't matter how much damage the Cassio has, because you're not going to be able to melt through it. So this combo of Olaf and Taric is just such a strong duo that it becomes difficult to deal with. Now, OG looking for the collapse onto Wonder.
Wonder has flash and manages to get away from the final shot from Alfari, and the bullet time coming out now. That's going to rip through Destiny. Alfari next on the menu for G2 if they want to go further, but instead Origen going to turn this around because here comes the TP, and Caps is all by his lonesome. Upset with the Q, the cleanse away. Mickey flashes straight into the waiting arms of Nukeduck, and OG take 2 in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's 2 kills going in favor of Origen just as the Drake spawns, which means that they're in a better position to secure this one. We'll start working towards that big Dragon Wing condition. So this actually has his eyes set on Jankos.
They know he's there. There's a ward on it. Jankos secures the Gromp, but at what cost, my friend? Doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't really have anywhere to run apart from back to his base, and Nukeduck takes the kill, shuts down Jankos, and now that Infernal Drake is on the menu.
So, Origen are actually doing a great job of staying relevant in this game, because I felt like that over the last few fights, G2 have just been gaining a lot more. They've been gaining more objectives, they've been just getting that one extra kill, but this fight is going to swing the favor definitely much more back towards Origen. We can see Wonder ultimately overextending. He thinks that because he has control over the river, he's safe, but he's not expecting 3 members of OG to be here. Now, he buys a lot of time for the rest of G2 to arrive. You can see the upset untouched in the back line. Alphari in a similar position as he looks to chase down, and then Cap splits off from his team. This TP coming through from the Casio forces G2 to just immediately disengage because the damage from Origen is on its way. And that means that G2 can no longer stay relevant in the fight.
And as we get through whatever technical issue that was, we'll get back on into the game. Origen up towards the top side of the map have set a little bit of vision around this Baron. They have the Scuttle Crab, so they do have control of the river, although G2 are clearing out any wards that were there. Alphari's in the bottom lane. He's got teleport. Death's Dance complete on him alongside that Black Cleaver now. G2 might just be waiting for someone to start up this blue buff. Destiny. Perks jumping in. Destiny with a great dredge line to get away. There's the depth charge as well, but he can't land it onto Perks because Perks within the shroud, and Destiny did everything he could to try and get away, but in the end, Perks will take the kill.
Well, he's gone from 1-3 to 4-3. Perks has been able to redeem his KDA and is slowly getting stronger. He's also now picked up the Leandries and is starting to close the gap versus Nukeduck. After finding another kill onto Destiny, someone that's been caught out a lot so far in this game specifically, G2 are starting up the Baron. Can Xerxes look for the steal?
Petrifying Gaze is available, as is the Killer Instinct. There's a lot of ults, all ults here for Origen. The Call of the Forge God. G2 have called to turn the fight. They're looking for Nukeduck, but they can't quite land the connection on the knockup. Caps sidestepping, dodging back, dodging forth, seeing if Nukeduck's going to waste that ultimate. The Dazzle comes out, doesn't quite land. There's the Hextech Revolver as well used at the Gunblade. So Xerxes just about survives off towards the top side, but that's the jungler upset. You're going to chase in, you're going to go for this, you're going to go for the fight. Origen decide to back away. Wonder, though, maybe oversteps, going to dodge away. Upset diving in with the Killer Instinct. Xerxes is going to die towards 2 on the top side, but now it's the 3v3 down towards the bottom side of this fight. Up Xerxes with the Haymaker, keeping Caps occupied for the moment. He's shut down. 4v4 in the jungle as Caps is now going to step forward. Doesn't have the bullet time. Cosmic Radiance. Perks in the stopwatch for the moment, now comes out of it invulnerable, and Caps takes another. There's another on top of it. It's a double. The Dazzle landed before the Blast Cone could be used, and Nukeduck, the Baron, is on G2's side this game. However, he opens up with the Twin Fangs and heals up. Now Perks next on the chopping block. Instead, he manages to survive. Jankos takes the kill, and G2 will turn towards the Baron.
And initially, the disengage from Origen was really good. They were just backing away, and they were able to avoid the re-engage that G2 tried to set up with that initial Baron play. But then they just got a little bit too greedy. They were too hungry to win that team fight against G2, and it was the Taric ultimate that ultimately swung things back in the favor of G2, because all 4 members were invulnerable to damage, and they could just run through the Origen lineup as they secure that team fight and secure themselves the Baron.
G2 now 4,000 gold in the lead, eyeing up that spot against Mad Lions next Saturday. They want the rematch, Vedi. They won't be happy with having Mad Lions defeat them in the fashion they did. Origen, of course, still have a word to say about it. Although their teamfight comp is strong, although they have the scaling power of Casio and Kai'Sa, losing fights like that can be incredibly demoralizing. Wonder, now level 13, has got himself 2 ornaments, the Sunfire Cape and the Sunfire Cape and the Abyssal Mask. That's the one. I almost called it the Abyssal Voyage. The Abyssal Mask are upgraded for him. There's an Infinity Edge on Caps that he can make into a Molten Edge as well. So you're going to start to see those items. I think actually Perks is going towards Zhonya's next, which will be the 3rd upgrade that Wonder can put out.
Honestly, I think that one of the biggest problems that OG is having to deal with right now is Jankos. His ultimate combined with the Taric ultimate pretty much makes him unstoppable, which means that Nukeduck can't fight against him. As regardless how strong and how much good his self-peel is, the amount of chase and damage that this Olaf has with the Black Cleaver is monstrous. Now, OG is looking for a pick.
Perks, you've got to do something miraculous to get out of this one. The Haymaker connects. He's trying to dodge around as much as he can. Jumps back with the Shuriken, but Alphari is still able to land the Darking Blade, and Nukeduck is waiting around the corner, walks away from the explosion, just lets the poison tick. G2 trying to get something on the other side of the map as the Shurelius is used to move those minions in quicker. Wonder bashing onto the tower, but Origen have a flank position here. The TP's coming in behind them. Alphari can get in with the Darking Blade. Jankos not with the team. Bellows Breath used. There's the Dazzle. They land it onto Alphari. Cap's going to try and get some damage in as Jankos now opens up on the Aatrox. Alphari flashes across the wall. Jankos flashes to chase. Call of the Forge God used to separate the fight, and Origen thought they had the flank, but Jankos was waiting in the wings.
And it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall. Origen did alleviate the pressure by getting a big pick onto Perks, but they then continue to commit to the fight, and now they're going again.
Caps has to flash away, but the Cosmic Radiance, maybe it was all a bait from G2 as they open up the showstopper coming out. Wonder wasn't in the invulnerability, and now he falls. The follow-up is there as Nukeduck gets another kill. Caps kills Destiny, but that's 3 for 1 in favor of OG.
Such a good fight for Origen with a fantastic ultimate from Nukeduck as well. He's able to land the ultimate onto both Mickey and Caps just as the stun comes down, which basically lasts for the entire duration of the Taric ultimate. And we were talking about how the Olaf is probably the biggest problem for Origen to deal with. Well, the Olaf wasn't there. His ultimate wasn't available. He was the one chasing down Alfari and found that kill. So Origen saw a great window to then recommit to the fight and found a big play. Now they've opened up the Infernal Drake. If they secure this, they'll open up the Infernal Soul win condition, and with the Kai'Sa and Cassio plus the Infernal Soul, Origen have a clear way to end this game.
You can see Nukeduck, the carry potential on this Cassio is absolutely monstrous. Do you want to say Upset's having a stormer of a game as well? 3-1 and 5 on this Kai'Sa, now has the Stinger in his inventory. Expect that to be a Nash's Tooth next. Makes it very difficult to play up against this Origen lineup because you have physical and magic damage coming out from multiple different sources. And now Origen, although they are 3,000 gold behind, have a very clear avenue to win this game, a very clear strategy that they are executing pretty well. Although at times G2 are overstepping. Caps there, having to flash away from the initial engage because he just went the short way around the wall instead of going the long way around and getting into the lane.
Well, right now they're just going to be setting up for the Baron. Getting a bit of vision down. The Baron does spawn in about 2 minutes time, so not on the forefront, and it's been a pretty chaotic game, Medic. I think that what's been super interesting about this series is how we've seen Origen progressively get better and better, and like in this game 4, we've kind of seen a level of consistency from G2, but also them getting slightly worse. Perks end up dying that 1v1 in the mid lane, even with the assistance of his teammates, with a big Nukeduck outplay. But then they immediately bounce back, and they find a couple of solo kills of their own, with Jankos flashing onto Nukeduck, and Perks finding that kill onto Upset on the top side. And I think it's been pretty messy. I think we've seen some mistakes on both sides, and that's made it into a very tense game. Both teams looking to fight for that top 3 position. Both teams do not, obviously, want to be eliminated at this point in playoffs, and OG pushing G2 to the limit, and showcasing that the gap has definitely closed, and G2 definitely not quite the same heavy favorites that they were last year. This game is definitely not completely out of the hands of Origen just yet. The Drake win condition is the one I'm primarily looking at for them. If they keep slowing the game down, if they keep waiting for that opportunity to fight around that Drake, then I think they have a good shot. But the question is, can G2 find a good fight utilizing the Jankos ultimate paired up with the Taric ultimate as well, because their dive is so exceptionally strong, especially onto that Cassio. So again, this game can very easily swing either way depending on how the next fights play out.
I think that's been the story for the last 3 games. Game 1 was pretty one-sided, but 2, 3, and now this one have been very back and forth. I think Origen will be ruining the fact that they didn't win game 2. Now, with the Baron up in 30 seconds time, you can see Origen setting up for it. Jankos, you're going to face check, you're going to go in. Mickey, perhaps the one to go straight head first into all 5 players from Origen, but G2, they're cautious, they're apprehensive.
The Spidey senses are tingling, Medic.
All 4 of them together. Yeah, Jankos like, nope. Nope. I don't want anything to do with that bush. Origen will back away after being spotted. Perks is on his way down as well, and now G2 can step forth, and Origen have ceded this ground.
Yeah, so the only downside here for Origen is they, of course, conceded mid-prio, which G2 recognized and were like, oh, okay, if they're not in mid lane, then I feel like they might be in the fog of war, and so they didn't take that gamble. OG now reclaiming that control. In an ideal world, they want to take that mid tower down. It opens up the map a lot more, but they do have that Scryer's Bloom sitting on top of the Baron for now, as both teams kind of poking back and forth.
Call of the Forge God used. Nukeduck able to dodge away from the side of it. Xerxes using the showstopper on Perks. The bullet time coming out as well. Here's the Cosmic Radiance. Stopwatch used by Mickey, I believe. Actually, it was the Petrifying Gaze that kicks him, but Xerxes already down to Perks, and the Depth Charge coming out. Origen could look for the re-engage here as well if they want it, but G2 still very healthy. Are just able to back away. Wonder actually upgrading an item right in the middle of the lane there. If Origen had jumped on him, that would have been a very, very dead Ornn, but he's now got the Locket of the Iron Solari. Destiny by himself. Dredge lines away, Wonder flashing forward, looking for Nukeduck. Mickey trying to get in there from the side as well. Destiny able to get into a control warded bush. Alfari flashing away. The exhaust down on Nuked Up, and now the turn can come out with the Miasma, with the Noxious Blasts. Origen, you can see all it takes is a moment. All it takes is Nuke Duck landing a couple of Twin Fangs onto Caps, onto Perks to really chunk out this G2 lineup, but they are still healthy enough to turn towards the Baron.
Well, this is actually a pretty good situation for Origen because Xerxes about to respawn. Alfari has his teleport, so he can reset, and Nuktuk is healthy. His only issue is mana. So G2 trying to rush this down could be very dangerous with a lot of ultimates on cooldown.
Petrifying Gaze is up as well. Nuke Duck, you're going to go for it. You're going to look for the play. Getting the damage down, but they can't quite get onto the Baron. The Baron is taken. It goes across to G2, and Nuke Duck is dead. Perks has secured it. He's got the shot down, and now Destiny's getting chased off towards the bottom side. Xerxes opens up with a Haymaker, but you can see the damage coming out from Yankos. He's 2v1ing, and he takes them both down. Teleport coming in for the win as G2 look to close this one out.
G2 find a massive fight around the Baron pit, and they're able to take down the crucial carry in Nuke Duck. With this objective secured and no one standing in their way, G2 are going to look to take down Origen and make their way to the rematch against Mad.
Upset gets the 1v1 play, but this is it. G2 on the Nexus Towers will take the win. 3-1 versus Origen, and they are hankering for another shot at the rookies next week.